cool. I know you just recently announced your deal with Venturini and Triller and all that stuff. So how did that really, come together?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like Triller is such a good fit for me. I love social
Yeah.
media, and me and Triller, I just feel like we're such a good fit. So I'm really excited to have them on board, and it was super cool to have. I loved the car this weekend. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be repping them this weekend, and we have some other cool sponsors like Free People Movement and Hair Club on the car also. So I'm really excited about this deal. We have a lot of cool sponsors on board, and I'm really excited to be racing for Venturini.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what are your goal? I know you went, this was your first race, back with the team at Winchester. I mean, when you were going in the race, I don't know how much practice you got. I mean, what were your goals really to just kind of feel out the race car, feel out the track?
Yeah, I didn't test in the car at all before the race. I didn't get on the track at all. So basically, when everybody was out practicing, that was like my first time in the car and on that track. So I kind of had to play catch up a little bit. And I talked to Billy, my team owner, a little bit before we even went out to practice. He was my spotter, and he's like, "What are your goals?" And I was like, "I want to finish on the lead lap." And I started naming off these goals. He's like, "No, those aren't your goals. Let's be like super realistic here. Like, you're here to get all laps in, learn the track, and basically don't mess up and listen to what I tell you to do." So he was super realistic with what my goals should be, and I feel like we hit all the goals. So I'm happy with how it went.
Yeah, that's good. And what's your next scheduled race with the team so far? Do you know?
Yes, so I will be running the next two dirt races, Kansas, and then Phoenix with them.
Have you ran the dirt in the ARCA car yet?
No, I haven't. I've done some dirt stuff in a midget, which I know is totally different. Those cars are
Yeah.
a million times lighter, and those tracks that I was on before were like really tiny tracks. So I know it'll be a totally different experience, but I'm excited. I think it'll be a fun little switch up.
Yeah, it's good to have a little dirt experience, but those midgets are probably a lot different than running the ARCA car on the dirt track for sure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and then you got the two dirt races. I mean, I'm sure you're looking forward to them. You think you could, I mean, what are your goals for those two races at least?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I would love to do well. I feel like the biggest thing for ARCA cars on dirt is car control, and I feel pretty good about my car control. But also, I haven't been on any of these dirt tracks before, so it'll be interesting. But I feel like, kind of like baby steps. I feel like I just got a top 10, so my next goal for myself would be a top 5. So if I could get that at my first dirt race in ARCA, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and you feel like it's good to kind of just have smaller goals and keep taking it step by step, especially where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, everybody wants to win. And it's like, yeah, like, of course you want to win. But is that like a realistic goal? Am I going to go into Winchester and be like, I'm going to go win. I'm going to go beat Ty Gibbs or Corey Heim? It's like, no, like, obviously that would be great. And I try to think positive, but it's like, let's also be realistic and like set realistic goals. So I definitely think, setting baby steps is good.
Yeah, and what's the difference been? Because I know you started the season with Young's Motorsports, now being back at Venturini for some races this season. What's kind of been the difference, and how'd you have to like transition from team to team, kind of mid season?
Yeah, I loved racing for Tyler Young. The whole team was great. Definitely the two different teams have different vibes to them. So you can have to adapt to working with a different group of people. And I feel like both teams have been really great with kind of adjusting to how like I like to get information. And I feel like I vibed really well with both teams. So I feel like the transition went smoothly, but also, I also really loved my time at Young's Motorsports.
Yeah, we just had I just had Chris Wright on the show, who was at Young's Motorsports. He was on our podcast show last week, and he was talking about how he loves to be at Young's Motorsports, wants to keep building up that team. And I know it's
Yeah.
also like a Chevy Toyota transition as well. Was there anything significant from that transition?
I think there's just different opportunity, and I think that's kind of what directed us to make this move. Was just I feel like they're kind of two different situations, and I just felt like we had a little more opportunity with this move. But either way, both teams are great. Both
Yeah.
manufacturers are great.
And so from at least I'm looking at it now, from at least what was in the official release, it says you'll be running Kansas and Phoenix again, which is what you ran earlier in the season. So you think that'll be good that you kind of have like a little notebook on the two tracks, although it's with two different teams.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I'll have a little bit more confidence going into those races just because I've been there before.
Yeah.
I'm sure the cars will feel different just because, different crew chiefs set them up differently. But it will help that I already know these tracks. So I'm excited to go back to them.
Awesome. Yeah. And those are the races you got left this year. And then outside of ARCA and all that stuff, I know you were talking about midgets. What else do you usually do, during the week or weekends, off weekends that maybe people don't know about?
Yeah, so I've been trying to step up my late model racing a little bit. So I'm going to race at Hickory this weekend. And I try to just do as many like local short track races I can in late models and just try to stay in those stock cars. I will do some midgets sometimes, but I feel like it's such a different driving style. And obviously, it's good to get seat time no matter what it is. But also, I feel like sometimes you could carry bad habits from one car to another if they're too different. So just trying to get that late model stock car experience as much as possible.
Yeah, just seat time, really, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And would you I when I think of midgets, I know when I was asking Matt DiBenedetto, he was saying how he wanted to run the Chili Bowl
Oh
sometime. Is that
yeah.
anything you would consider in the future?
Oh, definitely. I feel like Chili Bowl is like everybody's bucket list race. I think everybody pretty much wants to race that. Even though I'm not like, I wouldn't consider myself a dirt driver or anything, but definitely I would do that race even if I got whipped a little bit.
Yeah. And one question that I know when we were out and do our podcast every week, Tommy Joe likes to ask our guests. He says, like, what are like one or two things that if you look back on your career so far, like yet you would change? So do you have any things that if you look back on what you've done so far? I know it's just the beginning, but is there
Yeah.
anything that you would change?
Um, Honestly, this sounds so corny, but I feel like everything happens for a reason. So I don't really regret anything. Even I've had things happen and in the moment I'm disappointed and I'm like, dang, like I wish it didn't happen this way. And then months later or a year later, I look back and I'm like, wait, this happened. And then this good thing came from it. So I feel like everything does really happen for a reason, even though that sounds pretty corny.
No, no, I totally agree. I actually kind of feel the same way. Like
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason. I get that. I get that. So now we have that, and we have next year's in the future. Like, where do you see what as a goal? I don't know if you've how much you've thought about it, but where do you see yourself in like 2 to 3 years? What would be your goal? As a racer?
I would say 2 to 3 years in the truck series. Next year, I definitely want to try to run, full-time ARCA and some truck races, and then make that jump to trucks the year after.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people say like, like I mean, we were just talking about earlier, baby steps, taking it step by step. If you were getting to, run some truck races, then, years after that, some Xfinity and then Cup, is the ultimate goal. So you feel like that's kind of the way to do it. You kind of want to just get your feet wet in some of the other series and keep taking it step by step.
Yeah, I definitely think the ladder system is there for a reason. So obviously, I'm not going to be like, oh, cool, like I just got top 5 in ARCA. I'm going to go do a cup race. Like that's not really how it works. That's a very big leap. So I feel like the ladder system's there for a reason, and I do want to follow that. And I feel like just depending how I do in the races and just kind of how it all comes together will kind of determine like how fast I move through that ladder system. But yeah, I feel like there's not really any need to rush through it.
And I bet partnerships are, really important in that. Obviously, with their deal with Triller now for Venturini and all that stuff, and Hair Club, you're talking about all your other great partners. I imagine that's, especially in today's sport. I mean, that's so important to be able to continue, your future opportunities and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Triller, Hair Club, Free People Movement have been super supportive for the remainder of this year. And they're really the only reason why I'm like out here racing and I've been able to do this deal with Venturini Motorsports. So I'm super grateful for that. And definitely, hopefully, I can continue that partnership with them next year as well.
Awesome. So I can't wait. Yeah, you got about what 4 races left or so far on the schedule with Venturini and then late model stuff, maybe some midget stuff. So that's awesome. It's important to get some seat time during the year. So I can't wait for that.
Oh, definitely, for sure. I'm excited.